Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am your Nabilah and I'm here today to present the analysis of resume for assessment to oral presentation. The document that I picked to analyze is a resume, and the type of the resume is for professional or employment document. The purpose I picked this document specifically is to presents applicants' qualification and skills to highlight education and work experience and also to create a positive first impression to the employers. And the analysis that I focus on is the language analysis, content analysis, and also context analysis. As you can see, here is the original report that I've already highlighted. And as you can also see, I flagged two colors, which is yellow and blue. The yellow represents for the language analysis, and the blue is for content and context analysis.
Here is the type of error that I've successfully identified. The total of them is the 36 errors.
So for the language analysis, the errors that I found is the verb tense. For example, performs, operate, and sort. Correction that I made for it is the performed, operated, and sorted. Why I choose to change from present tense to past tense is because she already completed those jobs. If she were to say that she performs, operates, and sorts, it means that she is still doing those jobs, which is not true because she already quitted those jobs. And for the second one is for teaching courses that I corrected it into taught courses also have the same reason because when she say that in performed, operated, and sorted, the following grammar also have to follow the tenses, which is the past tense. And that is why I changed it into taught courses instead of teaching courses. Okay, for the second one is capitalization. So as you can see in the table, I changed from Microsoft Word with W lowercase into a capitalized W and so on. The reason why I changed is because the Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, and so on is the proper nouns. When it comes to proper noun, it should be a capitalized. While the second one, as you can see, I changed from internet into a lowercase I is because internet is a common noun instead of proper nouns. So when it is in the middle of the sentence, it should be in a lowercase instead of a capitalized.
Moving on to the punctuation errors. So when it comes to listing your words, you have to make sure that include an Oxford comma before and in the midst of three or more. So this is to avoid any misunderstanding for the readers when they read your sentences. For example, if they read the Adobe Photoshop without the Oxford comma, they might think Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator is the one thing, but it is actually the two different things. And the second one is fast learner with and without the hyphens. So a fast learner is actually a two separate words rather than as a hyphenated compound noun because it is treated as a noun phrase rather than a fixed compound unit. So for fast learner, it should have no hyphens. Moving on to the next one is content analysis. I found spacing errors. As you can see in the first table, she forgot to add a space after a period. It is important for you to add a space after period to improve the readability and visual organizations. It is also to create a physical break between sentences, allowing the reader's eyes to easily identify where one thought ends and the next begins. So, and the next one is troubleshooting. Troubleshooting is a noun, but it is supposedly to have no space between the trouble and shooting. But in this context, it's supposedly to have a verb. So this is why the correction I chose is troubleshoot instead of troubleshooting. Next is spelling errors. When it comes to spelling errors, you have to make sure that you actually proofread your words because it might have turned into another meaning. For example, in these cases where in the first table, as you can see, SMK Bandar Tun Hussein on does not mean anything. Instead, it should be spelled as SMK Bandar Tun Hussein on when referring to an important figures. And then for the second one is part-time working and it should be part time working because Wok is a tool used for cooking, and woking is supposedly to meant as someone using the wok. So when in the sentence, she wants to portray that she is actually working part-time jobs. So in these cases, part-time working is the suitable words. Next is clarity. In the resume standard, you are not supposed to advertise yourself. So in the first area, when you say may, it sounds like you are advertising yourself instead of proving your ability. So the correct way is to say manage or handled. And the next one is willing to move or willing to relocate. I corrected the move into relocate to make it sound more flexible as the candidate is well prepared for any transition the employer were to place them. So the last one is context analysis redundancy errors. As we see in the table, the error says excellent communication abilities are essentials. If you read it again, it sounds like a company are advertising their job instead of a candidate applying for a job. Even if the candidate were to apply for a job, it should not sound like an advertisement. It should sound like a job that has been proven by the employers before. And this is why I decided to remove them as a whole sentence. And the next one is the repetitive of to. Too much uses of to will sound more wordy and clunky. So this is why I remove them and only use one to in the sentence to smoothen and to make it sound more clear and concise. To conclude, it is important for you to proofread and edit your resume or submit any documents so that you have a clear, clarity, and concise information. That's all for me. Thank you.